guys, welcome back to my channel. I just wanted to talk about something that I think is important and it applies to all of us. However, I will be using this situation with Jay-Z, Kaepernick, and the NFL and social media as a broad example of what I am talking about. And I'm going to jump right in, okay? So, we all know what happened in 2019 when Jay-Z partnered with the NFL. It was a very big deal. A lot of people were not happy about it. They believe that Jay-Z sold out for money because he only cares about money and he should not have partnered with the NFL because the NFL have sort of blacklisted Kaepernick as a result of his peaceful protests. Now, I don't want to focus too much on that specifically because this Jay-Z situation is an example of a much broader topic, and it's something that I feel like we all do to an extent. However, I think that if we're aware that we do this kind of a thing, we're more likely to sort of check ourselves and to stop doing it, or to at least try to change our behavior for the better. That is why I shed light on a lot of the things that I talk about, okay? So, what I wanted to say is this. When Jay-Z partnered with the NFL, there was a lot of noise being made on social media, in radio stations, and all of these YouTube channels and bloggers, and everybody talked about how Jay-Z was a sellout and he only cared about money and he's only doing this for his brand. He does not care about Kaepernick or the black community, and he should have invited Kaepernick or somehow brought Kaepernick into the his agreement with the NFL so that Kaepernick can get his job back and all of that. And we all saw the clips where Jay-Z was trying to explain that we are past the simply protesting stage and we're onto the stage of, actually doing some work, doing something tangible that will help the situation. And I understood what Jay-Z was saying at the time because I believe that he considers a protest to be a sort of a way to draw attention to a particular topic, okay? And the subject of brutality from the police is an important topic, and the protests were important and they did bring attention, but he was saying that we were past that stage, or we should be past that stage, that us as a society should be past that stage, and we should be talking about concrete things that is going to be put in place to, stop all of this from happening again, to stop people from being victimized by law enforcement. And that's what he was saying, but nobody wanted to listen. Everybody said, well, people started to have interviews with people that worked with Jay-Z at some points and what Jay-Z did to them. And what's his name, Jermaine Dupri, even came out and say that, well, Jay-Z did not exactly discourage him from working with the NFL or from having any deals that he wanted to do. That Jay-Z did not exactly discourage him as everybody else was saying. But still, nobody wanted to go with that narrative because we as a society, and even in our individual lives, we do this a lot. We will look for one thing that does not seem right. We will not get clarification for why a person did a particular thing, or we will not try to understand it fully. We would go with the worst possible explanation, and then we will run with that, and we will somehow rebuild that person's entire persona around this one thing that we perceive to be negative. And then we would say, yeah, this is the kind of person that they are because they have done this particular thing that we consider negative. And that's what I believe happened with Jay-Z. A lot of people just did not want to believe that he was not about the money. People just wanted to believe so badly that he was just cold-hearted person that cared nothing for anyone, and he just wanted the money.
What a lot of people fail to realize is that Jay Z is a strategist and he knows when to use strategy. There's a difference between using strategy and using Brown. Like when you're dealing with people like your colleagues that are rappers and dancers and entertainers, it's one thing to use street or less formal methods, such as trying to strong arm them into doing what you want them to do. But when you're dealing with execs that are not your colleagues, they're not part of the industry, they own these large corporations or have a significant stake in these large organizations, you cannot simply force them to do a particular thing, especially if that thing is not their responsibility to begin with. At that point, you have to learn to use strategy. You have to kind of appear to be on their side, and then when you guys are on the same page, then you can come to an agreement and get them to move in the direction that you want them to move. And that is what Jay-Z did, in my opinion. I think that he approached this problem in a very civil manner. And after Kaepernick got their attention by kneeling and got the nation's attention, Jay-Z then used strategy to get the NFL to make a significant contribution towards criminal justice reform. Now, this is an actual tangible step that would actually help the process. Not that kneeling does not help, but kneeling should be the initial step before the tangible process begins. And that was what Jay Z was trying to explain, that it was time to move towards actionable items that will actually solve the problem. Nobody wanted to hear him. Everybody, all the blogs were very quick to jump on and criticize him. Everybody was being interviewed, and so many people were full of criticisms for Jay Z because they thought that he was selling out, and there was a huge uproar regarding Jay Z's dealings with the NFL. But now that something good has come out of his partnership with the NFL, what do we hear? This is what we hear. Isn't it interesting how none of these blogs and radio stations have anything to say about the good work that Jay Z has done using the NFL? Because let's be honest, the NFL was not making any significant moves towards this particular problem before Jay Z started to interact with them, before Jay-Z went into partnership with them. But and that is the problem. Like a lot of us do this even in our personal lives, where when someone does something, instead of us to try to get to understand the real reason why they did what they did, we will jump to the first negative conclusion that we can draw, and then we will try to find a way to back up our own beliefs, and we will run with that, negative conclusion about that person. And sometimes the actions that people take are actually for our own good, but we don't see it. And this is very common with celebrities, especially in the African American culture, in entertainment culture, where when a negative thing is done by one of them, everybody screams about it. You see it all over YouTube. But when they do something positive, we don't congratulate them. We don't bring it to lights. We don't promote it, and then we wonder why people choose to not help and simply live quietly, because negative actions get all the reward and positive actions get crickets. Nobody cares about it, nobody promotes it. Even the so-called blogs that act as though they promote the black culture, the good aspects at least, they don't talk about this. And Tina Knowles made a post, I believe, on Twitter, where she said that nobody was talking about the good work that Jay-Z has done, but a few months ago, everybody was full of criticisms for his partnership with the NFL. And I just feel like we need to be more aware that we do this so that we can stop. It's If you cannot promote a person for doing something positive, don't promote them for doing a negative thing either, because what you do at that point is that you are creating a more negative view of that person that is not accurate. It'll be nice if the blogs such and the blogs and the radio stations such as the Breakfast Club, Hot 97, TMZ, and Joe Budden's podcast, and all these other guys will put this donation towards criminal justice reform on the limelight as much as they put everyone who criticized Jay-Z in the limelight when they were criticizing him. But of course, they're not going to do that. And this is how they play a role in creating all of these negative impressions that people have about people that are doing positive work. Very few of any of the people that these guys interview or promote, including Kaepernick himself, very few of them has done as much as Jay-Z has done towards criminal justice in the past year alone. Matter of fact, none of them has done half as much as Jay-Z has done, yet he gets all of the criticism and none of the praise. Meanwhile, those of them that tout themselves as promoters of positive reform as far as criminal justice, they aren't actually doing anything tangible. They are just running their mouths, and they're all very talkative, and they like to speak in theory, but nobody actually does anything practical to help. There's so much to say on this topic, but I have to cut off somewhere, and I'm just going to conclude by saying let those blogs that like to talk about celebrities that have large followings talk about the positive work that these celebrities are doing, not just the negative work, especially the black celebrities, because people don't see enough of that and people are not encouraged to do the same. But if these blogs will just use their power positively once in a while, it will go a long way. All right. Thank you guys for listening or watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye, guys.